face, look.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Villa Generals for our next episode. We're going to do something slightly different in the coming weeks. We've got a little bit of a mini-series going on. And the first episode in that mini-series this time round, we've got Jamie Gray joining us. Jamie, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thanks, Saz. Thanks for having me on, mate.
You're very welcome. Si, are you okay?
Yeah, all sound, mate. No kids' difficulties today. No Frankenstein kids. We're all right.
Good, lovely. So we've got Jamie with us. As some of you might know, Jamie Gray is a bit of a big deal on Twitter. He's a well-known, well-loved character. And we're delighted to have him on with us today. We're going to go through a few kind of personal stuff with Jamie, get a little bit about him, understand a little bit more about what his life's been like, what life was like living with Daddy Gray, etc., etc. So we'll start there, Jamie. Really, mate. Time as a kid, I guess. Time as a kid. What was it like being a Gray junior? What was it like growing up with Dad being a pro footballer?
Yeah, well, I suppose like anything, all of us have got our own realities growing up, haven't we? You know, life is what it is, and mine was in two stages because my mum and dad weren't together when I was a kid. You know, Dad has a certain well-earned reputation, and
disclaimer, not Jamie.
Yeah. So you know, he was off playing football and everything, and my sort of family life was with my mum, and you know, she remarried and everything like that. And then bizarrely, they got back together when I was about 12, 13. So you know, my life became very different then because I was suddenly living with my dad and experiencing things firsthand, which maybe I hadn't done so much growing up. But I mean, I suppose before 12, 13, maybe I'd have been a little bit too young to appreciate it anyway. But it was all very new, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for a while. But you know, my life was my life, and I didn't really have anything to compare it to. So there was a lot of perks. I mean, we're all of a certain age, I guess. You know, there's a lot of people who hopefully will listen to this and out on Twitter who are a bit younger than us. And we all have our experiences of the Villa and the world and football. And, you know, a lot of them I don't think would have known Sky when it was just taking off, and the impact that it had. And in particular, my dad, I guess, you know, he was throughout the mid-90s to late 90s. I don't want to say it was a big deal, but certainly that social impact that the football was having, you know, it really took off, this Premier League package, and footballers became slightly bigger celebrities maybe, or the concept of a footballer. There was more money in the game, and he was very much at the forefront of that. And you know, he was here, there, and everywhere. You know, whether it being on TFI Friday with Chris Evans and stuff like that, you know, he was just, you know, bars and whatever like that. You know, he was here, there, and everywhere, and he enjoyed it. And you know, there was certainly plus points to it and advantages. You know, I spent a lot of my time throughout my teenage years going to a lot of the Super Sundays games. Didn't matter if the Villa were playing or not. I suppose it started off just going to the Villa games, but after that, I'd go to any game I could. And you know, they'd be there in the studio and with the guests on, whoever it may be that week, and I'd be there in the studio, just sat there on the back, watching it all happening, and then going up on the gantry for the game with him and watching it from up there. And you know, just he'd be walking around the stadium before the games and meeting everyone and anyone and all the old footballers, all the current footballers, and it was always just like, you know, this is my lad, you know, and meeting everyone, and it was. That was it. And then at home was the same. You know, the phone would go. It might be Ian Wright, might be Duncan Ferguson. And I can't say that I ever sat there and went, oh, you know, no big deal. I would answer the phone and go, it's Ian Wright, it's Ian Wright. You know, it would never sort of stop being a big deal for me. You know, maybe that was because I hadn't grown up with it. But, you know, he didn't have loads of friends who were footballers. He's still close friends with some of them now, but a lot of his friends were local people or his old school friends, you know. So he didn't do a lot of red carpet things or anything like that. But you know,
just red cards.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it was all right. You know, I was pretty shy. I wasn't massively outgoing at that age. I sort of kept myself to myself. Didn't play as much football as I maybe wish I had done now. There was a I mean, I wasn't great anyway. I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't brilliant. And you turn up to play five-a-side or anything like that, and inevitably someone would have mentioned, "Oh, that's Andy's son," and they expected to be brilliant. And I was all right, but I was never as good as people expected me to be. So I shied away from playing a little bit, and I played a bit more rugby and stuff like that. But, it was great. Dad was good as gold. We played a lot of golf. He was, he's here, there, and everywhere, and he had a great life, and we did too with him. It was good. There's some downsides to it as well. The plus sides are great, but there's a lot of downsides that people maybe don't consider as well. He won't have Twitter. He won't. He has Instagram, but he won't do Twitter just because the abuse is just not worth it. And the press can be a bit out of order. They can be a bit nasty as well. When him and my mum got back together when I was 13, they camped outside our house for a few days. It's just bizarre. I mean, what's the story? What's the big deal? So that sort of stuff wasn't great. And then obviously there's events that have happened over the years, and stuff with Sky and stuff like that. And I've read things in the press and on social media that no one should ever read about their dad. I've never pretended he's perfect. None of us are. None of us should be perfect. There's no such thing. But I think that's one of the biggest things now about this whole new world of social media, that everyone's expected to be perfect, and if you fall short in any way, you get ripped to pieces.
Yeah, we discussed earlier. Social media is a weird and wonderful place, isn't it?
It really is.
And when people are probably slagging off your flesh and blood, I can, full credit to you. Sometimes you hold back from it. It's full credit to you, mate. That is full credit to you.
Yeah, I'm a very different character to my dad. He's very charismatic, very outgoing, as you can imagine. With the job he's done and the career he's had and stuff like that. He pretty much is what you imagine him to be. He's life and soul of the party and lights of the room. And I'm not like that, but I am massively protective of it. He's my dad at the end of the day, and for all his faults, he's got so many good qualities. He's a great person, and I'll defend him to the hilt.
Did you become a Villa? Sorry, Isaac, go on, mate.
It's all right. I say it's something I've definitely always sensed with you, Jay, for sure. Is your family man, defensive character, and I love that about you. Like the way you talk about your dad is like he's your hero, and I guess that's incredible. And you're probably saying that with other Villa fans who don't know you and don't know your dad directly, who also thought that you might have been their hero at some point in their life. So I think that's pretty cool. I've
got to say, mate, about Browners, it was absolute brilliant insight that was. I could listen to it over and over again. It was just brilliant insight. And just quickly though, mate, did you become a Villa fan straight away, or did you change alliances straight after?
No, I was always raised a Villa fan. That was never an option. I don't remember how it happened. I think the first game I ever went to was, I don't know, sometime in the mid-'80s. I think we lost to Liverpool, as we tend to. It would have been Ian Rush and John Barnes, I think. I remember playing, but yeah, I don't remember it ever being any other way. And that was it. And I've been a regular at Villa since sort of late 80s, I guess, mid to late 80s.
Because I think a lot of fans forget as well. I mean, I remember the age I am, 21. Is remember?
Yeah.
Cream does well, mate. Cream does well. So I've been in the garden all day. I thought I've got to have looks like Jamie. I've got to get a bit of a tan.
Nothing for that.
But people forget that the Big Ron. He was assistant with Big Ron. People forget.
No, exactly. I mean, he's a very emotional guy, Dad. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I know there's been criticism over the years. I think the early Sky days where Villa fans didn't feel like he gave them enough praise. But it's one of those situations where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Match of the day when it used to be Alan Hansen and Lawrence and stuff like that, they always used to get slaughtered for being so pro-Liverpool. They didn't even try and hide it. So it's one of those in football. You especially in any sort of job, actually, on the media where you offer an opinion, you just can't please everyone, And Dad's affiliation to Villa runs deep. He's got, certainly that first spell as a player was the best personal spell of his career. He was never that good again. Injuries saw to that. You know, he won a lot of stuff at Everton, but he wasn't the same player.
Do you think he regretted not doing the 82 thing deep down inside?
Yeah, no, I think he's admitted that there's a part of him that obviously saw the success that came to that team, and feeling that he was certainly could have been part of that. You know, he was certainly good enough. But he'd had a bad couple of years before then with injury, which was the sort of, that would define his career really a lot. And, he's really good friends with a lot of that team. Peter Weir, Gary Shaw, Tony Morley, people like that. He's great friends with them, and he would never want to begrudge him that. And he had his own success later at Everton as well. So I don't feel like he feels like he misses out. Everything kind of worked out as it should do for all parties in the end.
When he went to Everton, John, did he play in the Cup Winners' Cup side for Everton?
Yeah, he scored in the final, mate.
Yeah,
he scored back at the end, 3-1.
84 was that? 85,
yeah. He's got an incredible history, really. I mean, he scored the winner in the League Cup final in 80-81 for Wolves, whichever, against Forest. He scored in an FA Cup final, and he scored in a European final. So there's not many people who can say that. He's done well for himself.
And then did he go from Big Ron's assistant into Sky? Or did he go coach after that?
Obviously, he'd come back as a player that second time, and I certainly feel he shouldn't come back. His heart ruled his head. He literally just won the league with Everton, and I think he'd been voted in the top 10 players in the world, so he wasn't done completely as a player. But that was a poor Villa team, and it was probably a move he shouldn't have made, but there we go. But then, Ron came in and gave him the opportunity to come in as assistant manager, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. So in those days, it was B Sky B. It was the season before the Premier League took off with Sky.
Yeah.
So he could do both jobs, and there wasn't any clash. And then obviously the Premier League took off, and he had to make a choice between the two jobs. Now I know there's people out there. I've read the comments saying he abandoned Villa again and all this sort of stuff, but. You've got a career, you've got a family to think about, longevity. How long do managers' jobs really last? And even Big Ron was saying to him, because Ron's a really good friend of his. We used to live around the back of Ron in Barnt Green for a while, and they're good mates. And even Ron was saying to him, "Look, mate, you can't turn this down. It's too big an opportunity. This is a massive opportunity. This great big relaunch of English football into this new superstar sort of game, and you're going to be at the forefront of it. It's a massive thing to turn down." And he left with a heavy heart, because I know he loved doing it. But I think ultimately, he got 20 plus years out of Sky, and I think you have to say that it was the right decision ultimately.
I think when your dad was assistant, I think that's probably bringing back memories. Probably one of my favourite teams.
It's a good team, isn't it?
Very good team.
It's a good team. They had some good results, and it was obviously building something to what came the following season when we nearly won the league.
It brings back memories. I can just picture him on the touchline now. Big Ron had his sunglasses on, and your dad's behind him screaming instructions. It brings back really good memories, man. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, and like I say, he loved it. It was a really good time for him. He loves coaching, and I think it's something he'd love to have done a bit more of. But that's just the quirks of life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Listen, Jay, I really appreciate you going into all that detail, mate. It's lovely to hear.
Yeah, appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
Lovely. If you could speak for your dad, who do you think the best player is that your dad played with in his career? Who do you think your dad would love to go back in time and play with one more time?
Well, I know the answer to this. There's two answers. The best player he ever played with was Kenny Dalglish. I think arguably only George Best was better from these islands. Kenny was magnificent. But the most naturally gifted he ever played with, he will always say it was Brian Little.
Really?
Just in terms of natural talent, what he could do with a football, he doesn't even hesitate. Brian Little, every day of the week. And I know Brian's equally complimentary about him. Two totally different characters, two totally different footballers. My dad had nowhere near the level of skill that Brian did. My dad was all, brawn and bollocks. Brian was an artist. He was a genius, and things that guy could do with football were unreal.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's really good.
Over to you then, Si, mate.
So going on from your dad's best, his favourite player. What's your all-time best 11 then, mate? Putting you on the spot.
Well, Luckily, I had a preempt to this. I'd like to give this one some thought. Yeah, so
Get your paper out.
Yeah, I'm going to go the classic 4-3-3, guys. I've gone Bozzy in goal. Bozzy was just brilliant. I mean, he couldn't kick, but just everything else about his game was just unbelievable. It's a shame he went to Man United, really, and they didn't see what we saw of him. I think his head had gone a little bit by then, but Bozzy was brilliant. What I would say is if Martinez carries on the way he's going for another season or two, he's going to be pushing. What a keeper. What a keeper.
Outstanding. Good on his feet as well.
Oh, just the amount of points this season that guy single-handedly saved has been unreal. Right back, John Gidman. Just fantastic player. Yeah. I don't think we're overly blessed with a whole host of brilliant right backs, but John Gidman is brilliant. I like my history and I like my football history, and you get a lot of fans who sort of, you're kind of stuck with what you've seen. But I've always read about the past about Villa and previous generations, and obviously Giddy was someone my dad played with as well. So I know Giddy a little bit. He's a good guy, and he was a great footballer. Paul McGrath, centre half. Anyone who saw him play, I don't see how you can vote for anyone else. No. Just simply the greatest. I feel sorry for anyone who didn't see him. The other one could have been a number of people. We've had some great centre halves over the year, but I've gone with Alan Evans.
Alan Evans. I knew you were going to say Alan Evans.
Did you?
Yeah. You're going to say Alan Evans.
Well, he was part of the best team in recent history, wasn't he? And he was at the Villa for a number of years as well. And he was just a great player. Now
a taxi driver in Plymouth now, mate. I know someone who knows him. Yeah, I know someone who knows him really well. Taxi driver in Plymouth now.
Did not know that. There you go.
There we are, mate.
Yeah, start of the day. Left back.
Do you know what you're getting?
Left back Stevie Staunton.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember when we signed him from Liverpool first time around, it felt like a major coup. Beautiful left foot. Just great player.
Joe, he did have a lovely left foot, mate, until my son ran him over with a scooter 2 weeks ago in lockdown in Litchfield. He literally went straight over his foot. I went, Finn, that guy's got the best left foot ever. Daddy, what do you mean? It's Stan. What do you mean, Daddy? No, it's Steve Staunton. And he went sorry and he apologised. It was brilliant. But yeah, he literally went over his left. Literally went straight over his left foot of all the people in Litchfield to run over.
Yeah, 25 years ago that might have been a problem. He's all right now.
No, he's all right. Nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. Really nice guy.
I think what's brilliant about your back four, Jay, is that there's quite a few faces that might watch this who might not know a few of those names. So I think that's really cool. I love that. I love that you're bringing all these old boys back into the mix again, and we're talking about them. It's nice to have that conversation, isn't it?
I know a guy. I love that, Dave. Dave on the social media. He loves his old school players.
Yeah. Well, like I said, football exists beyond the Premier League era, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, any Villa fans out there, do a bit of research. We've had some amazing players over the years. Just because you haven't seen them.
We had some bad players as well.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Eric Jemba, so shit.
Yeah, we'll do your next the mini series. I think we'll do your next worst 11. It'll be interesting. Don't put your dad in it. Don't put your dad in it either.
I could do from the second show. Oh
yeah. Who's right, midfield, Jay?
Yeah, right. Dennis Mortimer, skipper, has to be, doesn't it? Man, he lifted the European Cup and just a great player as well. How he never got capped is beyond me, but. Yeah, absolutely. Dennis Mortimer's in there.
He was my level two coaching badge assessor when I did my level.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we're dropping it, weren't we?
Yeah. I've been set high today, guys.
Yeah.
David Platt. I know he gets a little bit stick off there
once
again, but what a player!
He was in my yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, just how do you look beyond David Platt for what he did? The amount of goals he scored from midfield, just unreal.
I don't get the hate. I don't get the hate for David Platt. A lot of Villa fans hated him for what he did. I think he was the most gifted midfielder we had. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, David Platt.
I think what you get is that there's a lot of Villa fans who want the players to be fans as well. They want them to publicly show displays of affection for the club the same as we do. And some of them maybe don't feel that way. Some of them just aren't built that way. Some of them are just a bit more private. They just get on with their life. They don't maybe do the social medias or anything like that. And it doesn't mean they don't love the club. It's like Dwight York as well, the way he left Villa. I loved York. I'm gutted he left. I'm gutted he went to Blues. Maybe not the decision he should have made, but it doesn't diminish him as a player for me.
I agree. I agree.
So,
He gave it all. He gave it all. He gave it all on his pitch, didn't he? So that's all you asked for.
Exactly. Third midfielder is going to be Sid Cowans. Another one who's up there is arguably he'd be in the top 2 or 3 with me as your greatest Villa player ever. Just a fantastic footballer. And what a shame he broke his leg, and he was still a brilliant footballer. But to get taken to Italy when he did at that age, just when that was the main league in the world, I think that speaks volumes about his ability. Just a fantastic player. Once again, another league and European Cup winner.
His son plays for Telford, doesn't he?
Yeah. Right, front 3. Brian Little, for all the reasons mentioned before. The guy was just brilliant, and what a shame he never got to finish it due to injury. But the guy was just a genius. He was absolutely brilliant. I'm going to put Brian sort of out on the right a little bit, drifting wherever. Just go where you want, Brian.
Oh, then who's your number 9? Then go on.
You know who my number 9 is. You know who my 9 is.
Warren Aspinall? No, Warren Aspinall. Gary Penrice.
No, I've got to put the old man in there,
and
obviously, undoubtedly biased, but with good reason. There's, like I said before, there's a whole generation of people out there who don't know that time at Sky when it was launching and the impact he made on the media, but there's even fewer who know about him as a player, certainly in that first spell in the 70s. And I would argue that in the last 60 plus years, I don't think there's a Villa striker who has had the personal achievements that he's had. You got someone like Peter Wibb, who's just a brilliant centre forward, absolutely brilliant. He won the team awards, European Cup, the league, and he was sensational. I don't think he did what my dad did on an individual level, and this is what this is about. This is the best players. He won the PFA Player of the Year and the Young Player of the Year in the same year. I think only Ronaldo and Gareth Bale have done that. He's still the last Villa player to score 25 league goals in a season. I know Tammy did it, but that was in the Championship. Golden Boot winner and British transfer fee record. Peter can't say that. I don't think any of our players can say that. And arguably, for a couple of years, he was the best striker in Europe. I don't think we've got any other strikers, any other number 9s who you could say that about. And like I say, unashamedly biased, but that for me justifies that choice.
I need a tissue, mate. I'll get emotional here. I am.
I'm in awe of this.
Just a sun cream.
I'm completely in awe of Jay talking about this. I've said about 5 words since I pressed record. I'm just listening.
Yeah, sorry, guy. I should have told you.
No. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it, Jay. Yeah. You crack on, mate. I love it.
Completing the team. I thought long and hard about this, but he's going in, Mr. Grealish. I just can't. Tony Morley was sensational. Ashley Young. We've had some brilliant left wingers over the years. We really have. But Jack is just something else to what I've seen before in terms of talent. And I would love to see him and Brian supporting my old man and what havoc they could cause with John Gibman and Steve Staunton crossing the ball in as well. To get his head on it. I think that'd be a great team. I think you got some absolute class in there, and that would be my all-time Villa 11, guys.
Can't argue with it.
I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Jay. Good man. So we'll move on to the England squad. Let's move on to some England context. What we think and how far we'll go. How far will we go, Jay? What's the England squad like for you? How are we looking going into Europe?
It's young. It's young. It's energetic. There's pace in there. My big worry is I don't think we're good enough at the back, and I don't think we are ambitious enough in attack, and that is not a good combination. We saw it last night, and we've seen it in multiple other games under Gareth Southgate. I mean, even San Marino, we made hard work of scoring. We're so conservative. We're so cautious going forward. And against the better teams, you're not going to break them down. I don't know. It seemed when Steve Bruce was in charge, and the accusation always used to be that in attack we were relying on moments of individual brilliance from players, and I see that with England as well. there's the phases of play. They're so slow. They're so conservative. They're so reserved. And we look like a team setting up to try and nick it 1-0. And I don't know how far you can get like that unless we suddenly take the handbrakes off, maybe like Euro 96 where we did, because we were struggling to score before that, if memory serves. Unless something suddenly clicks and we unleash it, then I don't know what's going to happen. And I think the centre halves, you think about the classic centre halves England have had over generations. Maguire was I think he's our best centre half, and I don't think he's going to be fit. Stones has got a rick in him. I think against the better teams, we're going to end up playing 5 at the back or 3, however you look at it. But that's how I think we'll go. I just don't think he'll have the trust in his centre halves to go 4 against the better teams anyway. And I'd love us to go far. I'd love something to click in the early games, but we've got to find a way of finding a bit more verve to our attacking play. I think that's what I think. We've got some great attacking players. That's where all our talent is. That is where all our talent is. When I look at that squad, and why are we putting the handbrake on them?
I don't know. We look seemingly lackluster, don't we, in the offensive? The final third. And you're right. Last night was a prime example of that. We just looked like there wasn't much intent. And to be fair, bias from all of us, but I'm sure you'll all agree that Jack was the only player really trying to do anything in that final third. And
to be fair, mate, he was only a 6 out of 10 last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's my point, Star. Even at a 6 out of 10, he was standing out as the best player in that final third. And where was everybody else? What was everybody else doing? Real struggle.
I don't know what Jamie thinks about it now. I think Southgate's had a change of heart with Grealish. You don't give someone a number 7 icon England shirt if he ain't going to start. Jack's starting games. There's no way he's going to be on the bench now. Jack will be starting games. And I think that will be our saving grace, because I don't think Jack's got it in him to be a defensive player.
No, you don't want him to be, do you? You don't want him to be. I think you're right. I think there seems to be a slight change in tact from Southgate. I don't think he ever hated him like Villa fans thought he did. But he maybe didn't have that level of trust in him that he does now, and he's worked with him firsthand. And like you say, we know that's Jack 6 out of 10. He's getting all these plaudits. He's getting lauded. And we know there's a lot more to come from Jack. We can see that he's not quite sharp. There's a few balls got away from him, a few heavy touches. He wasn't at his very best. There's way more to come from him, and he needs to play to get his sharpness back, doesn't he?
I don't know about you as well, mate. I'm annoyed that he's taking 200 players with him, really. Maguire and Henderson, I just don't get that. I don't get that. Maguire ain't going to... massive risk. I mean, time Henderson gets fit, mate, and Maguire gets fit, will be in the latter stages. They'll be playing catch-up, and you're playing someone like, I don't know, Portugal are bombing at you, or Germany or the French bombing at you. They're going to be so flat-footed. It's just a massive risk.
Yeah. Was it Beckham when he broke his metatarsal before one of the Euros?
You're just playing catch-up, mate. You're playing catch-up.
He tried to play, and he just wasn't fit, was he? And you can't force fitness on someone. I get it that
in key positions,
big players there, and I understand the appeal of Henderson. I think he's a loss if we haven't got him. When he's fit and he's at his best, I think he's a big asset in what is a young team. You look at Liverpool without him, and they clearly missed him in that midfield. He's not flash or anything like that, but I do rate him. I think he's a good player. But if he's not fit, then he's not going to be able to influence games like that at all. And the same with Maguire. He's clearly our best centre half, but he's no good to us Crocs. He's really not.
I'm not sure about Maguire, mate.
No, I'm not either.
I don't think he's brilliant. I don't think he's comparable to, like I say, the centre backs of previous generations. But I think he's the best we have at the moment.
That maybe is our biggest issue then, Jay, isn't it? That's a huge issue for us then in the England squad, isn't it? If he is the best out of that crop, then that's a worry. And taking on the bigger teams in the world, we're going to struggle, aren't we?
Yeah. He's got that price tag hanging around his neck, and it's not his fault. He's not an 85 million pound defender. He's not. But that's not his fault.
I bet he charged Carl Walker. I bet he charged Carl Walker at centre half, one of the friendlies.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday. Yeah. I bet you he charged
on
Carl
the right hand
Walker.
side of the 3. Yeah, he'll play a 3, and he'll play with Carl Walker on the right hand side of that. I don't know. And our wing backs, if you've got Reece James and Chilwell, that's as good as anything going. They're brilliant players in those roles. It's just...
I've said it openly, man. Chilwell is a fantastic player.
He's a different grade.
And Luke Shaw, whichever one of them plays, they're great players. Really good players.
Yeah. So how far are we going, James, with that squad of players? How far are we getting?
I think quarters. Based on what I've seen at Southgate, trying to be realistic, using my head, not my heart. I'm going to go quarters. I'd love us to go further. You know, like I say, I remember Euro 96, and something just clicked and we went with it and it was brilliant. If something clicks, you just never know if that attacking play can start to click, but it needs to click.
We got a tough group. We got when we come out of that group, we play some tough teams. It's not kind to us.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams, isn't there? There really is.
And in my opinion, Southgate isn't the man, really, is he, to move us forward? I don't think. Is he?
International football management has become weird. You know, when we were sort of younger and growing up, it was like the pinnacle job for a manager. It's kind of what you got towards the end of your career when you'd achieved everything else. And now international football management's almost become like a nursery to club management. It's become like a stepping stone, hasn't it? You know, there's multiple managers who've gone to like Wales and Scotland and places and done a decent job of managing the national team, and then they've gone to club football, and it's not the same. It's not the same at all. It's totally changed how.
Do you think there's a consistency with international boards wanting to appoint fellow national men to that position? I think we've seen that a lot, haven't we? Ryan Giggs at Wales, Southgate in England, what's his face in Scotland several times over. What's his name?
Steve Clark.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe that's something that the international sides are going for now, and they want their teams to be managed by the same nationality of men.
Yeah, but it's only like a club. You know, a club manager. You want the club manager to be English and brilliant. You want them to support your team, which is what we've got. I think as an international, I've always wanted as an Englishman to manage an England side.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it might now be that there's just a lack of applications for the jobs. You know, when these jobs come available, you know, the top managers, English or foreign or whatever, they might not just be applying for them. They might just not want them anymore.
But back to go into how far we go. Southgate did prove that he can do it in the last tournament, and then we come mightily unstuck, I thought, against Croatia. And that would be my fear going forward. I think we'll breeze through the group, absolute breeze through the group. It's the knockout stages. Has he got that out just to change it tactically and then go for it? And then that would be my worry. I would probably push at semi-final, I would.
Yeah, every chance.
I was going to say semis. But I think, like Jay says, quarters. I think is.
Don't get you saying semis on this flaming podcast after your history. There we are. Yeah. Move on.
There's always a big team who doesn't perform. There's always someone who blows up a little bit. There's always someone who overperforms and comes through. Let's see who those teams are. You just don't know, do you? I mean, it's the joys of tournament football, isn't it? But it's been a hard slog being an England fan, hasn't it, over the years?
Yeah. So we're going to dip out. We're going to dip out of international and go back into club then. So what transfer-wise, who would you like to see, mate? Let's get straight to it.
I'm not great with specific names. You know, I don't.
So who would you like to see?
Well, what I think we need is a couple of wingers, and I think we need as starters, and I think we need a big, athletic, strong defensive centre midfielder. I heard your podcast last week, and a lot of the points you guys were making, I agree with.
Someone agrees.
Yeah, it's me. Trezeguet's injured. We don't know how long for. I know you guys are saying you quite like Bert. He drives me mental. He absolutely drives me mental. He goes from the sublime to the ridiculous. You know, some of the stuff he does, I can't actually fathom how he's done it. He'll do something that's impossible, and then he'll misplace the 5-yard pass. For me, he's too inconsistent. If he can sort the consistency out, then that's great. If he can't, then he's going to end up being an impact player. You can't have someone who's 8, 9 out of 10 one week and then like 4 the week after.
Jay, his stats are good though, mate.
No, they are. And normally, you know, stats are a pretty good indicator, but I think sometimes.
Yeah, I agree what you're saying.
A little bit misleading. I mean, Anwar came great at the end of last season. He played football I didn't think he was capable of, but I still think his statistics were probably better than he is.
Well, his stats on goal, 10 goals, but his assists as a winger were like piss poor. Yeah, and probably half of those goals were penalties anyway.
Yeah, they were. But he was another one who some weeks he was brilliant, and you're so happy to see him play well, and the next week he just disappeared. Absolutely, it'd be awful. I mean, El Ghazi last season played 2 of the worst 45 minutes of football I've ever seen from a professional footballer. I can't remember the games. I think one of them was maybe West Ham. I can't. He was atrocious. And same with Bertie. He'd be. I think he had a run of games there for like 6, 7, 8 games maybe. He just didn't turn up. It was like playing with 10 men. And then he had another few good games, and he was brilliant, doing sensational stuff. And you're like, that's the player we need. And if you think about where we're trying to get to in terms of top 6, top 8, do players who are that inconsistent play for those sort of teams? And I'm not sure they do. It makes it really hard and frustrating for a manager
with the names links we've got over the last 7 or 8 days. Then who would you love to see come in out of those players linked? The Smith Rowe guy is a load of rubbish. That's Asian tour. Contract. Forget that, Aaron. Forget that.
Not happening, mate. Sorry, pal.
Yeah, not happening, mate.
No, Buendia.
Delete your post. Not happening. So the Norwich guy, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So my stepdad was a professional footballer as well. So he's been married to my mum for the last 20 years, a guy called Richard Money. He was a coach at Villa.
I know Richard Money.
I've got to be honest, I sit there and say I like my football history. I didn't know him as a player. He played for Liverpool, won a European Cup, but he's
Walsall.
Unlike my dad. Yeah,
Walsall,
he won the league with Walsall. Yeah, he got Cambridge into the league. So, and he's been academy director at a lot of clubs as well. So he knows a lot about youth football and stuff like that. So he's a good guy, and he's a nice guy to talk to. But he's got connections to Norwich. He's from that part of the world. All his family are fans, and he was academy director there as well. And he loves this guy. He absolutely raves about him. And I spoke to him the other day about him because I was trying to wind him up, but we were nicking his player. And he didn't say where he was going because I don't think that's determined yet. But he did say that he's going. He thinks he's going. He just doesn't know where. And I hope it's us. I know there'll be arguments that what he's done is in the Championship, but I think his stats were pretty good last time they were in the Premier League as well. And I mean, his statistics for the Championship are unreal. And he plays right wing. He covers 10. It's going to be really interesting to see what we do with Jack next season, whether he's out on the left or we bring him more into that 10 role.
Just swap it out.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you options, doesn't he? So I think he puts a bit of pressure on that right wing position. And someone like Bertie, if you want to start, you're gonna have to step up. You're gonna have to perform more regularly because if you don't, you're going to be on the bench.
I think he'll come, but there is that niggling feeling if someone like, let's say, a certain Madrid side coming through, Atletico Madrid coming through.
Yeah, that's where it comes. I was waiting for that with Martinez last summer. I kept waiting for someone in a better position than us.
He ain't gonna go. I don't think he'll go. I think he'll come to us. He ain't gonna go to Arsenal.
I'd be gobsmacked if he didn't make the move to us.
Absolutely, but I've a niggling thing the last 24 hours. Atletico Madrid are sniffing around him, but there's no money in Spain, is there? There's no money in Spain.
No, and last year Villa were interested, I think, in Emi, and Atletico was where he wanted to go. He wanted to move abroad, didn't he? I think that was on his mind. It was abroad or nowhere. Didn't get the move abroad, so stayed again in the Championship for one more season with Norwich. So, let's be confident that I think he'll make the move over to B6. But there is that little niggle that if someone comes in from over the pond.
I was pretty confident before, and I still am. Yeah. But there is that niggly feeling with Madrid. And very quickly as well, Jay, are you either thinking like me that we wouldn't necessarily get McNeil as well? It'd be one or the other.
I mean, I could see that. I could see it. Like I say, the thing is with Trezeguet with his injury, it's going to be a long-term one, isn't it? You never know how long it's going to take to get back or what kind of form they're going to be in. And he's a similar sort of player, I think, in terms of he brings that effort and that work rate. And you need that in a team. You need that balance. I mean, you think about Tony Morley for Villa on the left of that play. You had Des Brenner on the other side. You do need that graft. You do need that balance in the team. It can't all be show ponies. And he looks a good prospect. I don't know loads about him. I haven't seen loads about him, but what I've read, he's young, he's quick. I don't know. We'll see.
So you're saying?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think there's two very adaptable, two very flexible front people coming in. Whether they can play up top, on the left, on the right, in the middle, I think that's what we're going to be going for. I just can't see us moving forward with Trez and Anwar because both haven't performed.
Mate, I don't think we'll be spending I don't think necessarily now we'll be spending big on two players. I think your Bendini is going to cost. It's going to cost us 35 million. McNeil is going to cost you 35 million. There's no way Burnley.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of money. He's young and English, premium.
Mate, there's no way on this
contract.
earth Burnley will be selling their star player who's 21 years of age. Is that many appearances at 20 million? Not a chance.
So my concept of money is out the window.
Well, Ollie Watkins, how much was Ollie Watkins in the Championship side?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to be realistic.
I don't think
in a money sense, I think it's crazy.
We ain't going to be able to afford two players like that. It'll be one or the other.
What's really interesting is the impact of COVID on the transfer market over the next few years, because undoubtedly for a lot of clubs wiped out their budgets or certainly had a drastic impact on them. There's not going to be many clubs with loads of money to spend, and also the transfer windows, as we know, it's that domino effect, isn't it? Clubs tend to not sell until they've bought, and if they're not buying, that means they're going to hold on. So it's going to be really interesting. I
read an article today. What's the guy, Express and Star guy? Matt Meyer, is it? He was talking about the Wolves.
Matt Meyer.
Yeah. He's talking about the Wolves concepts and talking to their CEO. And he seems to think that clubs will be going down the routes of swapping players from other clubs, which would make sense.
Right, okay.
And then buying, getting players on loan for 12 months to buy. He seems to think that a lot of the transfers will be like that. And now thinking about it, it does make total sense.
Yeah.
Total sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if in a year or two, if maybe because the transfer fees in this country and the agents' fees and the wages are just ridiculous. And certainly the talk in the industry over the last few years has been that it's not sustainable. At some point, the bubble's going to pop, and it's been very forcibly popped. So it's going to be interesting to see over a couple of years' time if some of the clubs are realising they can't get the value for players that maybe they once did. Maybe transfer fees will start levelling out a little bit. I don't know, but there's certainly a lack of money in the game, and as we've seen by this attempted Super League, which is entirely an effort to correct that lack of funds in the game.
Because we're quite unique at the moment, going on to season tickets as well. Because I don't think a lot of the clubs can buy season tickets at the moment. I reckon we're probably Don't you find that a bit strange?
I think there's a lot of unknown factors at the moment. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, let alone football.
But there's not many Premiership clubs. I'm saying not many Premiership clubs have said, "Right, come and get your season tickets." I think we're probably the only one.
Yeah, it's considered a leap of faith, really. If anything goes bad again, which fingers crossed it doesn't, it's administration nightmare again, isn't it? But maybe that's all it is.
In a very different position. We are actually a small minority of the clubs who are in a much better position financially, clearly, aren't we? I know COVID has affected the clubs, affected everybody, but we do have a serious financial clout wall stood behind this club now, whereas many other clubs in this league don't. The likes of Burnley, Sheffield United, for example, a big crisis, and those clubs are looking dangerous. Those clubs are looking terrified.
Again, I totally agree with you, mate. But again, reading that article tonight, before I came on, it's worrying because financial fair play is scrapped for a year or so, but then they're saying it'll catch up with you in the next 2 or 3 years. So clubs are thinking, well, hang on a sec, I'm not going to spend millions of pounds if you're going to screw me down the line 2 or 3 years. So they've took financial fair play off you, but the same token, they haven't. So the Villa, I don't see the Villa spending these 150 million that you think we're going to be spending. It'll be 85, maybe probably less now, I think.
Yeah, I think you've got that right. I think it's about there. I mean, like you say, if it's suddenly those two wingers, then that's most of your money gone, isn't it? So
it is, Jay. But in my eyes, I think those are the only two positions that the big money is spent. For me, left back. For me, defensive midfielder. For me, another central midfielder, utility man, comes at a much lower cost. Probably all left field signings or players that are at the end of their career, but with massive amounts of British football experience, who know the game, understand the way that Dean wants to play, and just come in and offer that experience. So for me, if we have got 85 million to spend and we're not going to be going any more than that, then plummet 30 million a pop on two big big key players up in that front field in that final third.
I think also that fundamentally as well is we'll want to get players who play in certain positions. So, like I've said before, and repeat myself, is the guy up top will play in 3 positions, won't he? So that saves you.
Absolutely. It gives you that flexibility, doesn't it? But we need better footballers. I think one of our next progression stages is now that we've got to be a team that retains possession better, certainly against the better teams as well. Against the sort of middle of the road teams, we get away with it, and we've still got quite high possession stats. But against the better teams, we've got to be able to retain the ball better to compete more. And I think we need to look at the midfield. I think we are missing that one cog in there. I'm a fan of all the players individually. I don't know if that mix is quite right. And for me, David Luiz is a tremendous footballer, and he's a better footballer than Nakamba all day long as a footballer. But we look a better team, better balance with Nakamba in there. And I know you guys mentioned it last week. And he's not a better footballer, but we're better balanced. He gives us what we need a bit more. But to me, no matter how well Nakamba's done when he's come in, which is tremendous, to me, he's still a squad player. When he's reliable, when he's called on to come in. I'm not quite sure where Luiz fits in. He's a Carrick type. He's a Matic type. He's like a deep lying ball player rather than that disruptive type. And I'm just not sure if this stage of our development.
Is it 6th of June? 6th of June. We find out about Luiz.
5th Friday.
So it's Friday.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow.
So he's clearly a great footballer. I mean, I always think one of the key ways to judge any footballer's ability is when you see him receive the ball under pressure. A couple of our boys struggle. He doesn't. You get him on the ball under pressure. The kid's a baller, but that doesn't mean that he fits into necessarily what we're trying to achieve at the moment. And I know you said the same last week, Stein. I know you have as well, as that. That big 6 foot, strong, covers the ground well, gets in there. I think that and decent on the ball as well. I think that will help.
I'd love Loftus-Cheek. I would. He's not showing He's not showing much potential at the moment, but it's just something I like Loftus-Cheek. There's so much potential in that guy.
He'd be like Barkley. I fear he'd come in and be another one who's got all the potential in the world, but just doesn't turn up often enough. Doesn't quite.
Such a waste. Such a shame.
It really is. It really is, because there's umpteen players out there like that. So much promise, so much potential, and the seasons just slip by, and they just never quite get
What was
there.
What's the tournament he did it for England, Joe? He played for England. He was outstanding.
Was it the last World Cup? Was it the last?
Yeah. Was it the last World Cup? I think it might have been. Yeah, he was outstanding.
No, he did incredibly well, and you were just waiting for him to kick on, weren't you? He went to Crystal Palace on loan, I think, didn't he, the final season? Chelsea didn't give him his chance, went to Palace. I don't know if he got injured a bit, but Royce, I think, played him out to the right a lot. And he's just got back into that routine again, hasn't he? Just go out on loan, go out on loan, go out on loan, and he does okay, and he has some good games.
Talking about playing out of position, what the hell was Southgate doing last night? Putting Watkins on the left as well. But anyway, we've gone past that. That's
a lot of questions about that.
So these players come in, Jay. We sign all these incredibly talented players, and we have a few, or maybe one big money signing, and everyone's buzzing. Who are we playing in pre-season? Who would you like to see us play? Where do you see the pre-season fixtures looking this year?
From a purely selfish point of view, I'd love to see us take on Rangers. Just take on Stevie G's team. We're
last time Rangers came to Villa, mate. I tell you, it was a bloodbath.
no repeat of that.
There's no chance. No chance we'll be playing Rangers Football Club, mate. So.
Well, you'd like to think it's slightly different times, but like I say, purely selfish. I come from a family of Rangers fans. Glaswegian Protestants, and I'm from purely selfish point of view. I'd like to see that game, but.
I just like Weymouth away. I don't want much, really.
To the seaside, mate. Yeah.
That's all I want, mate. Really, I don't want to get a bloodbath for Rangers.
Yeah,
like the old days, half and half hat Rangers and Villa, and half the whole team shouting Celtic, and everyone's doing Rangers. But yeah, that Rangers game, Jesus Christ, take it off, mate. No,
bad. Yeah, no, it was bad. But,
I know some guys who went to the Rangers Derby when they went to Derby as well. And they did exactly the same. Rangers fans absolutely wrecked the place. There's no chance of playing Rangers.
It's because I mean I've been to a few of the old firm games with my dad, and it's not good. I went to Parkhead with him once when I was a teenager, and I got spat on relentlessly. That
was your dad.
Yeah, exactly. Must have been bad that day. Yeah, but no, it's a bit full on, isn't it? I mean, it's football with religion. It's just different level.
Yeah.
I'd like to play it.
Sectarianism.
I'd like to play like one of the European elites down the Villa for pre-season. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, I don't know how realistic that would be this season because with European travel and stuff, I don't know how easy it's going to be to get those sort of games going. It might be too much hassle. I don't know, but if we could do, I'd love to see some one of those pre-season tournaments that you used to see like Man United and used to be Arsenal, Liverpool, and they are competitive. They're semi-competitive, against the really good teams. I'd love to see us in one of those because that would mean to me that we've gone at that next level. We've regained a bit of stature again.
So it's Walsall Burton then, lads.
Yeah, Walsall Burton. See you there.
Oh well. At least you get to see you.
Yeah,
no. You're always going to get those games, I think, though, aren't you? You're always going to get the local games. You always have two or three of those games. But I agree with you both, boys. I think it'd be great to see us play a bit more of a powerhouse in pre-season and just really test ourselves. I remember when we played Ajax. Ajax?
Martin O'Neill. Yeah.
Yeah, that was we really turned up. We played some great football.
Did we play Inter Milan in a pre-season?
Yeah.
When was that?
Yeah, when was that? That was Martin O'Neill's days as well.
Was it?
Was it? Yeah, we
I
did.
remember that.
Was it Inter Milan? Oh, no, it wasn't Inter Milan. It was an Italian side. It might not have been Inter Milan. Oh,
it wasn't it Intertoto? Intertoto Cup? Were we in?
No, we played Italian side down the Villa in a pre-season.
I think it was Inter.
Oh, was it? And we lost. I'm pretty sure we lost.
I don't remember that. I've got to be honest, but yeah, no, that would be great. That would be amazing to see someone like that come to Villa Park. That'd be brilliant.
So who's in the green at the moment then? European country-wise, off Portugal on, so that's out of the question. So it's either Greece. Greece, I think Greece is.
Greece is, I think.
AK Athens, there we are.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Just take anything at the moment.
Just any excuse to go.
Olympiacos.
There we are. That'll do. Pack your bags, Louise.
Yeah, I mean, it must be in terms of the club trying to plan a pre-season. I just don't think you're going to take the risk, are you? Trying to book any of those sort of clubs, you're just going to book something you can guarantee, aren't you? So it might be. We played Man United last pre-season, didn't we?
Beat them.
You did, yeah.
It's you get a few games like that. I think that'd be good. Ease away into it, build a bit of fitness up, and then play some of the better things and see where we're at.
We're going to go on to Azza's special now. Then quick fire questions. Azza loves quick fire questions, Jay. So you can do them all, Azza. Then me and Jay will answer them if you want.
All right, yeah, sweet. No problem.
Let's do that.
Be the host. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so both of you, all-time best England player. Side.
All-time best England player, Gary Lineker.
Jay.
Oh, that we've seen or just historically.
Your favourite?
No, seen. Love seen.
Gaza. Always Gaza. Always Gaza.
Brilliant. Mine's Marlon Harewood. Okay, moving on.
Didn't even play for England, did they? Oh, sorry, Azza. No, sorry, Azza. Hang on. I'll be the host. Who was yours?
Marlon Harewood.
West Ham. So it's always West Ham. I don't know why you ever bother doing it in a podcast.
Okay, both of you, all-time best Euro player, but not English.
Van Basten.
Van Basten.
Yeah, Zidane. Love Zidane.
Mine would probably be Pirlo, I reckon.
Was it the drink? Was it the drink?
Do you not think Pirlo was any good?
He was sensational.
Yeah, thank you.
He's not very rock and roll, is he? He's not very fireworks.
No, Van Basten, overhead kick and like that lovely nice orange shirt he had on. No, it's not. Yeah, Pirlo was a bit boring.
Possibly one of the best defensive midfielders Europe's ever seen, though.
Boring, though.
Yeah.
Next.
It was a boring choice.
All right. Next one is most memorable Euro England game.
Oh, Holland 4-1, Euro 96.
But yeah, balling hot day. Balling hot day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mine was Euro 96, Spain. Because I tell you why, we've got them in the penalties, didn't we? And I thought we've lost this.
Yeah.
Penalties against Spain, and I think we won 4-2, was it, or something? And yeah, that was mine.
One game. His head, didn't he?
One game I thought was going to lose, but we didn't. So pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I was at Wembley for England Scotland, and Gazza scored that goal. I was supporting Scotland that day. I've been taken by my dad and was forced to support Scotland.
Wow.
So
is England Scotland full capacity or not for this time round?
I'm not sure, mate. I've got to be honest. I don't know.
I got off the ticket today for £6,000.
Really?
Mm.
Wow. I
you can have it. You can have it for £7 if you want, mate.
Oh, thanks, mate.
That's all right.
Moving on to the last few. So, all-time best England manager in your lifetime?
Bobby Robson.
I'm gonna go. I'd probably have to go with Bobby as well. But it was either him or Venables, and both of them got celebrated for ultimately failing at semi-final stages in 2 tournaments we probably should have won.
As going to go Sam Allardyce.
Yeah. Go on, say it.
Oh, big Sam.
I'd probably go Terry Venables. I think for me, it's
that whole Euro 96 was brilliant. Euro 96, the whole country got swept away with it. It was brilliant. You got the Badil and Skinner song. It was a fantastic summer. Looking back on it, it was
should have won it.
Should have won it.
Shearer,
yeah, really bad.
Was it Shearer? Missed it. It come across. It just missed.
Gaza missed it by like a stud length. Maybe couldn't have broken his leg if he got there. That close, mate. Heartbreaking. Right. I'll tell you who I did think was really underrated as an England manager and could have gone on to great things if circumstances hadn't got in the way, and that was Glenn Hoddle.
Oh, I agree.
I thought he was lost to the English game. He was ahead of his time and brilliant tactician. He could have gone on to be a major coach, but obviously he got stung by the papers. And Glenn's a friend of my dad's, and we sort of heard the other side of it a little bit. And he got stitched up a bit. The story that appeared in the paper wasn't how it had happened exactly. And
Jay, did they record him? Did a reporter record him?
I can't remember, mate. I can't remember. All I remember is that however it was done, he was like, it wasn't a fair reflection of the circumstances, and it put him off to such a degree that he just took himself out of English football for a long time, didn't he? He just went and lived in Spain, I think, or something, set up his soccer school. He was just that distraught with what had happened. He just walked away from it, and that's a shame, that is, I think.
Love listening to him as well when he's commentating.
Yeah, I think he's great. Yeah, real insight. What a footballer as well.
Oh. Yeah, good. All right, last one then, boys. I've changed it slightly last minute, but next season, top 6, get Europe or win a cup.
Oh, you have changed it slightly, haven't you? I'm going to go win a cup because then we'll get into Europe regardless.
That's cheating knowledge, Joe. Absolute cheating knowledge.
Imagine that option wasn't available. Jay. Which one would you take? Glory in a cup or?
It's a real tough one because in the modern game, top 6 is probably more valuable. But we haven't won anything since '96, and for a club of our stature, I think to go and win something now, it's long overdue, and I think it would really announce our arrival back as well. Okay. So I'm going to take the glory, please, and take a cup. FA Cup, though, please.
Yeah, cool. So, Europe.
England or the Villa, basically, isn't it? So, if we play the Germans in the Euro final, I'd have England all day long.
Oh, is this England?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was Villa.
No, is it?
Don't worry. It's made a great conversation.
Yeah, we can edit
it. England or Villa, Villa every time. Sorry, guy. Yeah, Villa. Change my answer. Villa every time.
Do you know what, Joe? Do you know what, Matt? It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It was so enjoyable. And when you said that end bit, and I thought, it's really disappointed me there. It's the only bit that's ever disappointed me on. Villa all day long. Yeah, ruined it. No, Villa all day long, mate. It's got to be the Villa, isn't it? 6.
Yeah. But to be fair, Jay is right as well with the point about a cup or top 6. I think a cup would be great for Villa, wouldn't it? A cup would be great for Villa next year.
We've always
really going out there.
We've We've ballsed up those FA Cup finals. We need to.
We have several times in the last decade. We've got to that last hurdle and then blown it, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got there. We've got there, but it's you know, we're not going to win the league.
Here's a quick question. Here's a quick question for you, Joe. Very quickly, then. Out of all the finals the Villa have played in and you've watched, what was your most disappointing one?
I mean, Arsenal FA Cup, because we just didn't turn up. We just got absolutely battered. We were never even in it. You know, we just played so badly. But maybe for Man United, one in the League Cup where we lost. You know, Vidic should have been sent off and he wasn't, because that left a bitter taste in the mouth. That one did.
You know what mine was? Chelsea.
Go on, what was yours?
Chelsea. Gregory.
Yeah, 1-0.
Yeah. I honestly thought before the game we'd win it. The name was we're definitely going to win it.
Yeah.
Was that when Di Matteo scored? Di Matteo scored in the middle for Chelsea.
No, that was against Middlesbrough, wasn't it? Early on, he just smashed it.
Was it?
I'm trying to think.
I can't remember. I was only a kid, wasn't I?
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Wasn't Terry, was it? Wasn't Terry who scored?
I can't remember that. Di Matteo scored the one against Middlesbrough, I think, the one where he smashed it early doors and he went in off the crossbar down the middle of the goal. I think he scored that goal. Was it Poyet?
That's Poyet.
Anyway, it was an awful final. It was the last final ever at Wembley, and I honestly thought we'd win it. You know, Gregory's side, I thought, we'll win this. And didn't his selection was a bit wrong, wasn't it? And it's dreadful.
Yeah.
Merson didn't turn up. Do you remember? Merson didn't turn up. Really, he didn't play. And I just thought that most disappointing ever. And on the train on the way home, I had a load of celery all chucked over by the Chelsea fans. What's Chelsea's celery all about? I mean, what's that all about?
Listen, Jay, it's been great having you on, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolute pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Jay. Good to see you, mate.
So we'll speak to you all again very soon. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
You can stop recording now, Asa.